Kalimera, kalispera, kalinichta. No matter where in this wild, wacky, and sometimes wonderful world you might be. Thank you for making the Highbury Squad part of your day. It's the late, late football show. It's Freestyle Friday. Anything goes. And big news today. So let's rock and roll. Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show. And surprise, it's a solo one for me tonight. Although I'm hoping that some of you are going to help me out and call in. Of course, I've opened up the floor for the Gunners Global phone in. If you have an opinion and want to share it, let me know in live chat. This feels a little old school, so not many people in live chat, which there's something intimate and I miss and I love about that. And two, getting used to being back live and doing more regular shows. So our subscribers are slowly jumping back in as well. Those listening on replay, thank you so much for joining. And to those listening on our audio platforms, thanks for joining. Squaddies, good evening. I salute each and every one of you. I've kind of missed maybe doing a solo show. Yeah, there's lots to talk about as well. Evening solo Soph. It's Han Solo Soph. Let's see. Mike Hertz already asking for favors. I love it. Hello, hello. Anyway, can I get a shout out for my son, Michael? Of course. Hello, Michael Hertz. How are you? Anything else I can do for you, Hertzy? You just let me know. I'll put the kettle on as well. Cuts a slice of apple pie too. Good evening, Guna Rose. Hello, Trevor. Hello, Mark. Runs with Cows is here. Johan's here. Ian's here. Archangel is here. PW is here. Yasu Tiganis, El Piso Galanaise. Rawinda's here. Seb is here. I'm pretty sure Seb is going to want to have his say. We'll see. Carol is here. And of course, our Chief Like Officer, Tammy Steels, is here. Hit that like button if you like what you hear. And if you don't, let us know why. My chin is not made of glass, unlike some middleweight boxers I know. Danny from A Burkamp Wonderland is here as well. I salute you, sir. How are you this fine evening? And let me know, by the way, if the Tottenham have lost. I'm pretty sure they have. I picked them to win the FA Cup. There's no better time than to be wrong than now. Even though I picked them, I didn't want to be right. Same with Mikel Arteta. I always wanted to be wrong about him. And so far, I have been proven wrong about him. If he succeeds, we succeed. If he does a good job, then us Arsenal fans are happy as well, aren't we? Let's see. Byron's here. They lost 1-0. Yes. Nathan Aki with that winner. By the way, there was not even a foul on the goalkeeper. That was so ridiculous. I know Mike's got 52 children and he only singled out one. I wonder why. So much joy when they lose. But there's nothing more joyous than the Arsenal winning. But let's get to the top story of the day, shall we? As you come in to the Late Late Show here at Highbury Squad, hit that like button, but only do it once, even though I ask you to do it over and over again, because when you hit it again, you know what happens. And yeah, I hope you've all had a really good week. It's been weird, kind of bouncing back into work and the show, if I'm being honest. It's Friday and it's the Late Late Show, so I'm giving myself a bit of a treat and I'm having myself a good old-fashioned Cypriot beer. You know, missing the motherland a little bit and the family. Here we go. Have a sip with me. Okay. Yeah, let's get that neck going, that throat going. The defender jumped into the goalkeeper. How can that be given? Exactly. They waste their time on so much, don't they? But the big news of the day, let's talk about this. Jurgen Klopp quits. Everyone says he's leaving Liverpool. I say he quit. He's quitting on Liverpool. I tell you, it is proof, okay, that this is a bloody hard job. Not an easy job. Oh, happy Australia Day. Yes, we'll get to that and all the Aussies. Klopp quitting sounds like FSG aren't giving him the budget he deserves, and then he walked. Apparently, he told them in November, did old Jurgen. I would never drink like Nick Ramsdale. I'm not sure what this move is when he does this. I don't know what he's trying to hide. I mean, he should just get Stella as a sponsor. This is art by Abigail R, by the way, on Etsy. The images of Klopp. Oh, I thought I loaded the other one too, but I didn't. I did load this though from Poorly Drawn Arsenal. Can't draw Arsenal at Can't Draw Arsenal. I do love it. If you zoom in on the stake, it's got the result of the Crystal Palace match. We're going to talk about Mikel too a little bit later on. I'm not comparing him to Klopp. We're going to talk about Mikel's new deal and Jurgen Klopp. This is the end of an era. Wow. What a run. Hey, what a ride the Liverpool fans have had. The Klopp is crying. See what I did there? This is huge. He didn't have any energy left to punch his own chest anymore. The whoa. Oh, come on. Aren't you going to miss that? Hey, Mark, how you doing? Hope you're well. I think he's been great for the league. Even though he's become a bit of a... Super Kev and I were talking about this 2 or 3 weeks ago. Even though he's become a right moany mare, you want the best managers managing in the league. You really do. You want the best players playing here. I mean, I'm not saying I miss Harry Kane, but, you know, makes it sweeter when you see him suffer when we beat Tottenham. But I do like the stars to be here. Maybe that's because of my film entertainment background. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a bit of a wanker. But I do like the big guns to be here. And there was a time where he could have been our manager, Jurgen Klopp. I'm not going to go down the Pep Guardiola route, but we really could have got Jurgen, I think. The window was there, was wide open, but we were too scared, weren't we? Too scared to make moves, very comfortable in our own Wenger skin. Look, Danny backing me up. Kloppo should have been Arsenal manager, but stubborn Wenger wanted one more season. He was good competition. Think they should one more with that squad. You know, Byron, I was looking at that today, right? So let's take a look. Every Klopp winds down eventually. I'll get my coat. Kudos. Well done. Anyone else with anything better, please do post it in the chat. Should he have won more? Well, if you're going to do that, then Fergie should have won a lot more with Man United, right? Should have won more European trophies, that's for sure. Klopp for United, also my prayers was answered. Oh, United, yeah. Well, I don't know. What do you mean? Klopp? For United also? Oh, because they're shit now. Is that what you're saying? If it wasn't for Klopp, the PL would have been pointless the last 5 years. Yeah, agree with that. Look at you guys spreading the love among each other. Let's see. Tom says, Sophie, who was the better manager in England? George Graham or Jurgen Klopp? Oh, blimey. Well, what a pickle. I've got to take my rose-coloured glasses off. They both won European titles. Let me have a think about that. Let me noodle on it, because I was just about to read out Klopp's accolades. Maybe Danny from A Bergkamp Wonderland will lean towards Graham. I don't know. Mark's leaning towards Klopp. You guys can let me know too, because good old Jurgen. Look at that. Must feel nice to touch that trophy, to hug it, to kiss it late at night. Pour German beer in it. Sip it slowly as you visualize each and every one of your wins along a very hard season. Yeah, bet there's other things that get... Nope, not going to go there. All right, Jurgen Klopp, Premier League 1920, FA Cup 21-22, the League Cup, won it in 22, runner-up in 16, the Community Shield, if that counts, it does when we win it, the UEFA Champions League, runner-up twice, mind you. Could have won 3 of those, but won it in 19. the Super Cup in 2019, the FIFA Club World Cup, competition I hate the most. What's the point, please? And he was the runner-up in the Europa League, which I think was in his very first season. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did he lose to Emery? No, I think he lost the semi-final. Someone help me out with that. Tammy thinks Klopp is the better manager. Thank you. We're all blessed. Go on, bless us, Mr. Leo G. In the PL era, Klopp is only second to Ferguson. Is that because of the 115 charges, Archangel? Yeah. I mean, George Graham, I think, doesn't get enough credit that he deserves, because everyone talks about Arsenal's resurgence and, yeah, there was an Arsenal 2.0 under Wenger, but George Graham inherited a lot of crap as well. And, you know, he won a European trophy, Wenger didn't. He transformed Arsenal as well in a very, very different way. And some would say the Wenger era couldn't have happened without the George Graham history. I don't know. But all I know is we hung on to Arsene Wenger way too long. I don't like how he's still, all this talk about statues. I said it on the Marketing versus Football Club show the other week. All this talk about marketing, all this talk about statues. We went invincible. That was an amazing achievement. And I think he's been lauded enough for that. But all this talk of statues and stuff like that, come on. Let's save that for another day, shall we? If you want to join me and you want to say something live on air, I've put the link in there. It's totally up to you. Liverpool dominated in the 70s and 80s more than City do now. GG broke that. That was massive. It really was. I mean, when you think about Anfield 89 and what we did and that Liverpool team, even then, the dominance, the players they had, the fact that we had to go to Anfield, the fact that we had to win by 2 and not concede, it truly is an amazing football achievement. I think it's one of the greatest achievements in all of sports. And there's definitely been quite a few. But that is definitely up there. Klopp did make one of the most entertaining Premier League teams ever. I completely concur. And I think a little bit like that Liverpool team back in the day, you couldn't help but admire them. You didn't have to like them, but you could definitely admire the style of football. Now it's resonating. Leo's a Liverpool fan. I forgot about that. Incredibly influential, says Seb. And yeah, I think that similarly, they were as cool, and the way they played the game, the way they respected the game, the way they still had entertainment at the forefront. I think Klopp's Liverpool teams, barring last season, have been an absolute joy to watch. And losing the league by a point, losing the league by a ball not going over the line by a hair's breadth and half a millimeter is painful. And they had some painful losses. There's no doubt about that. But what he did was he brought the love back to the club. Sure, Brendan Rodgers did a decent job, couldn't take it over the line. And I think sometimes the similarities or the comparisons people make to Mikel Arteta is Mikel Arteta a Brendan Rodgers, or is Mikel Arteta going to end up being a Jurgen Klopp? We're not going to know that until Mikel Arteta wins the Champions League or the Premier League. But so far, a lot of Arsenal fans think that we're in the Brendan Rodgers era. And many Arsenal fans are hoping that their belief in Mikel Arteta will drag us over the line. And it becomes a little bit of a Jurgen Klopp moment, history. Raul, I think this is one of his single greatest moments as a manager. That win was truly unbelievable. That Barcelona team was pretty decent, no? That is, if you're going to put up an example of what football's all about, and what playing at home on a European night is all about, that match is absolute gold dust. I don't care who you support. I don't care where your heart aligns. That match was totally unbelievable. It was a masterclass in belief, in coming back, in everything. Tom says, I'd love to join, but Idiot Boy here, being the glutton for punishment, is off to see Aquaman. What? Why? Is there another Aquaman movie? I mean, I have been living under a rock, if I'm being honest. But is there like an Aquaman 2? I did see Wonka, by the way. I thought it would be good distraction. I went to see it with my nephew, and I actually enjoyed it. I can't believe it didn't get any nominations for production design and set decoration. Don't veer me off track here where I start talking about Oscar nominations and shows I'm getting sucked into right now. Maybe we can do that at the end. By the way, Demian isn't here. He was supposed to be my wingman, but he's not here. But he has a really good reason why he's not here, and I can't tell you what that reason is yet. But it's very exciting. So hence one of the reasons why I'm flying solo. So no one in chat has the Cajones to come and join me live here on air. That's a shame. We'll see. Can we all remember to hit the like button? Yes. Arteta's made so many bad decisions. Tell us what they are, Chief Like Officer. Archangel says he just can't hate Liverpool. He showed it's not all about the money. GG nearly had us invincible before Wenger. That is true. Super Kev will tell you about that game. Chelsea. Tony Adams half to blame as well. A great manager, a legend, and a gentleman. Hats off from a die-hard gooner. Wenger went too long, but he absolutely earned his status. Revisionism to say otherwise. No, I don't think so. I think the last 8 years especially were torture. The last fun season under him was when we, by default, almost beat Leicester to the title. And that's only because Tottenham capitulated against Newcastle. I think they lost 5-1 on the last day of the season. Is that right? And we got into second place. We should have won the league. We all knew that when Ozil took that corner and Welbeck headed it in, and we went nuts, we thought we won the league. Hands up who thought we won the league that season. I bloody did. Jesus. I've learned my lesson. This is why the Reece Nelson Bournemouth goal. Didn't get too excited. Of course, I went nuts. Who am I kidding? I got excited. All right, fine. I thought that was it. I thought, man, these moments. First, it was Eddie against United, the 3-2. And then the Bournemouth moment was just like, this is it. This is our time. No one's going to take it from us now. Boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I wrong. Let's see. The last 10 years under Wenger's reign was a terror was torture. Danny Welbeck, yeah. The winner against Leicester. Klopp's going to Bayern if they sack Tuchel. Well, it's not going particularly well, is it? Surely not. Harry Kane going to Bayern Munich and them not winning a trophy? That can't be, can it? Bayer Leverkusen? Bayer Leverkusen? Well, they 6 points clear now? I don't know. Listen, all I know is that Alonso is earmarked for Liverpool. We're missing out on another one, potential great one. I don't want to rub you up the wrong way, but I'm just saying, is this going to be another moment where we look back and say, we held on to Mikel for 2 more seasons. We could have had Alonso, who goes on to win the Premier League, the Bundesliga in his first season, and then comes and wins something in the Premier League. Let's say hello to Seb, who wants to join in. Seb, how you doing?
Hi, Soph. Hey, Squaddies.
At ease.
At ease.
What do you think about the big news today, firstly? And the second part of my question to you is, does this galvanize Liverpool to win the league?
I think, was it Klopp was saying that he...
You muted yourself. Can't hear you now. What did you just do? You just muted yourself. We were hearing you loud and clear. Come back in. I lost about £100 on that City goal tonight. I'm so happy. I love that, Patrick. I tell you, being out of pocket when it comes to stuff like that isn't so bad, is it? Arteta can't hold a candle to Wenger. I agree. Absolutely. But that doesn't mean Wenger didn't outstay his welcome. In a row. Let's try and get Seb back here. Seb?
Yeah, we're back.
There you go. There you go. Tell us.
Awesome. Yeah, so I think it was it last season that Klopp was saying during an interview that he wanted to potentially leave last year, but the problem is that he felt that the team wasn't in a good position, and now that he is reinvigorated Liverpool in a way that whoever can come on next will be secured, I think it's very honorable for one, and I think Liverpool can go on to win the league because of that, because they know this is their last bang and they don't know what's coming next. No, I don't think anyone does. Maybe Xabi Alonso. But I think, yeah, they're likely to go on.
He would be the super romantic choice is Alonso, and he's really proving to do an amazing job in his first season. I agree with the listener that said he hasn't won anything yet. However, if he beats Bayern Munich to the Bundesliga in his first season, that's pretty amazing achievement. I don't think he's made for what's your sense with Klopp? He talked about energy and he said the minute that he doesn't have the energy to do the job, and when they started talking about moving forward, he just couldn't visualize himself in that situation, and he took him by surprise. Listen, we all get burnt out in our jobs. We all need a vacation. I know that they live a luxurious life and they're very privileged, Seb, but it is a demanding job that has become a 365-day a year job. He's going to take some time out, maybe like Pep. But what's your crystal football say about what his next move might be?
For Klopp, I think I believe him that he's going to take time, because he said after he left Dortmund that he said he wanted to spend a little more time with his family and enjoy them. And I think he spent 9 months, something like that, I believe, after he left, and then he jumped into the Liverpool, which was granted the dream job because it's the most, I'd say, alike to Dortmund in the Prem, other than Newcastle potentially. And then they just, I really think he's going to take the time off to enjoy himself. And then I think he might go back maybe to Germany just because that's where his roots are.
Yeah. I think I agree with Tammy. Maybe not now, but I think maybe in the long run,
100%.
maybe we'll see Klopp in the States, Seb, for 2026 with Germany. Who knows? Or with England.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm not sure if how well that will go down. A German.
Sure.
We've had an Italian, we've had a Swede, but I'm not sure about a German managing the England side. What do you think about that?
I mean, the Americans are too proud, let's be honest. So I think next up it's going to have to be another American coach, unless Mourinho, he's available too.
I can see Klopp having a little American adventure, and and USA Soccer paying out the wazoo to get Klopp to be the manager for 2026. Ooh, I like this bet. I might put a bet on that. Seb, what else do you have to say? I've got my next subject on this is the rumor that Mikel Arteta is being given a new deal by the Arsenal. Are you happy about this? Would you give Mikel more years? Would you give him more money? What say you?
Yeah, no, I think he's the perfect fit right now for Arsenal. I think it's you earlier you spoke about whether Arteta's going to be more like George Graham or he's going to be more like Jurgen Klopp. I think he's going to be more like Wenger, and that Wenger was a loyal man, and he stayed for the loyalty of the club and the longevity of the club. And I think Arteta is built of the same manner, is that he's going to be doing the same thing, whereas Jurgen Klopp came in, had to redo the whole club, whole stadium, like Mikel. But I think Jurgen had a lot more work at the time, and a lot less of means to do it, as opposed to Arsenal did, in a way.
Yeah, we are talking about that, Salim, and let us know what you think about it. If you want to have your say, the link is in the chat. You can come in and have a little convo with me as well. I don't think that kind of long tenure is going to happen again in modern day football. Jurgen Klopp, 8 years. That's quite some time. Pep, I think, is the next manager with the longest tenure.
Yeah, 7.5.
The modern day game just doesn't allow for. I think if you have a name like Klopp or Pep, you're going to be given the time. But if you don't, I think you're up shit creek without a paddle. I think it's going to be very, very tough for you to be able to keep that gig, because we live in such an instant gratification world, don't we? And I guess Arsenal have less of that insatiable appetite for instant gratification. What's your mark of success for Mikel Arteta this season, before I let you go?
For this season, I'd say he's on par with where he should be, I believe. It is his first job, and that's the other thing I keep thinking about, is that, yes, he was under Pep. He had a lot of guidance. He got a lot of leeway the first 2 seasons here as well. But he also had a lot of support, and I think for where we are right now, with the resources that we have at the club currently, and I'm including like the likes of Havertz that are in the club right now, which everyone has their say on him. I'm a little bit in the middle of both. But I think whatever he ends up bringing this January and this summer, I think will define the longevity of Arteta. If he is able to bring a striker that can last the time at Arsenal, not have many injuries, unlike with some of the players that we've had to date, I think Arteta is going to be here to stay.
Okay. And you want him to stay? I got from that.
I've been an Arteta fan since the very beginning, Soph. And I wanted him when Unai Emery came around. My brother's a PSG fan, diehard. You know, we're French from origin, so we always clash from the get-go. But I think Arteta is going to be the man to stay.
I wish that he'd back this picture up as well a little bit, because I like using it a lot, and I do want him to shush some people up, including myself, although I don't include myself in the bucket as much as I used to, Seb, because for the last 2 seasons, I feel like I've backed the man. But this
I think you have.
season, however, he's testing the old patience, because I feel like he fixed things that weren't broken. And he's tried to tinker too much. And sometimes I worry that he's a bit too clever. You know, it's like playing Xhaka at left back in a European semi-final, starting the season off with Thomas Partey at right back. Don't try and be clever. Football's not that difficult. Keep it simple. And I feel like he's stifled the speed in our team. Saka and Martinelli feel like
they're burnt out, though. I think they're more burnt out now, because Saka has had all of summer. He was supposedly the rest, but he had England to take care of.
Yeah, but I don't think you can make those excuses when so many players play so many games. When you look at City and you look at Liverpool and you look at, you know, those types of sides that go deep, they go long in competitions. And Kevin will say to you, there's no excuse for fatigue. And let's see how they come back from this winter break. But yeah, Saka has definitely been. He's played a lot. Yeah, but here's the scoop. You can't be 2 of the best wingers in the world last season and then regress so badly this season if there isn't also something systematically wrong with how your team is playing. Is that fair?
That's fair. It's fair. But I think also there's been a lot of change. The fact that Xhaka used to be center defensive, then became center attacking, that changed the whole outlook of that front. And they were getting much more opportunities then. And that's our problem right now in our season. We're getting a lot of opportunities, but we're not finishing on it.
I agree with that. And I like how we're playing more pragmatically. But I like the pragmatic Arsenal versus City, not the pragmatic Arsenal versus West Ham and Fulham. Those were just, you know, I don't think the manager is responsible for the lack of prowess of the forward line finishing their chances. But I do think he's responsible for how the forward line approach and play the game. And he's taken the speed out of the game because of this possession-based football that he's playing. So, what's your final word, Seb? What do you want to say?
Believe in the man, believe in the team. The naysayers are quick to jump on everyone. And I think people also overpraise him. I think let the season run, see what happens, and let's see what happens during the summer. And that will be the defining moment. Okay,
Seb. And are you on social media? I mean, I know, but are you, and do you want people to find you?
Yeah, you can find me. I believe it's SSanajust, SSANAJUST on Twitter, or X, like you. I hate.
Yeah, can't say X. Can't do that. It makes me feel like I'm tuning into porn.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm on Instagram. I believe the same thing as well.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for calling in and sharing
Of
your
course.
views. All right.
You
Good
need
to
your
see you.
wingman.
All
Bye-bye.
right. I love that. Take care. Bye. Follow Seb, everyone. Oh, I like this a lot. I might just keep him for the whole show.
I wasn't picking my nose. How are you doing, Soph?
I'm doing all right. You know, just plodding along. You know, there's this whole. I remember once I used to go swimming at lunchtime when I worked at Fox in Soho. It was really easy to just go swimming around the corner. Plus, it looked good if you worked out, right? This is how pathetic, like, you know, we were back in the day. And the pool was plodders, joggers, sprinters, right? 3 lanes. And you always wanted to be a sprinter, right? But you know, after that, you jump out, go for a pint, have a cigarette and be like, oh, that was a good idea. Not. Right now, I'm in the plodder lane. I feel like I'm plodding along.
You got your water wings on.
Yeah.
The only time you caught me at the swimming pools when they had a new chocolate bar and the big machine thing. I had to try and get my arm in the bottom of it and get one for free and get the fire brigade to come and save me. You're doing a damn fine job, Soph. You're doing a considering. You know, I had a couple of months off, but you know, you're doing brilliantly. I mean, you always do brilliantly, and I really enjoyed your show the other night with Fergus and Alan and Marky Mark.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a good conversation.
It was.
You know,
although I didn't agree with any of them. I sent you a WhatsApp saying you were 100% right, and they all agreeing with each other. I thought that's the problem with Arsenal. You lot keep agreeing.
Yes, and we're going to do a part 2 to that as well. I particularly did not agree with Fergus that night, and Alan, I loved him. He was all business. I love Al, love Big Al. You know, to just go back, because this is Freestyle Friday, and we're doing whatever we want. We don't care how many, you know, whatever. I thought I was ready to come back, and you know, before I did, like Tony's like, "Are you sure you're ready to jump in?" I'm like, you know what? I am so ready, because it's been like since September, you know. But then things got really serious in November, and just, you know, sometimes as a human, you think you're ready, and then maybe you're not. But then when I sit here and now I'm talking to you, I feel like, oh, it's lovely. I'm so happy I'm doing a show tonight. That's how I feel.
You've got a chat box full of wonderful, not like the scumbags who come and watch my show. A couple of them are there moonlighting. But you've got a chat box. You've got an actual community where they all love you and you love them, and you all work together. And if someone has a problem, you talk about it, and they can all contact you on Twitter, or they can come on the show and talk about stuff. And that is you are, and your pod and Kev are a large part of some people's lives, especially in these dark times, when they're sitting under the stairs in a cupboard trying to keep warm, watching this on their phone. And you provide a service. Well,
and you know what? I think sometimes I hope they realize that they help me just as much, and they've been amazing. Yes, the beard scratcher. We do need to know. And there it is.
I have 3.
Answered for you. Fair dinkum, says Seb. Good. Yeah, with the old beard scratcher. Klopp.
Yes.
I mean, I'm kind of happy that Liverpool fans are sad. You know, my sadistic side. I'm allowed to tap into that these days. That's my excuse. What say you, Danny?
I put in the chat earlier on in the show that, first of all, if I was Jurgen Klopp, I'd have endless sleepless nights knowing that I was the best team in the Premier League. I lost 1 game that season, and that game that I lost was against Man City, was it? And then they were cheated. He should have had at least 2 Premier League titles. One of them was a COVID title, and then the other one, he should have done it. And I'm a Borussia Dortmund fan, and I loved Klopp. And when Klopp came to Liverpool, I was angry because he should have been at Arsenal, like you highlighted my comment and brought it out, where I said Wenger stayed a year too late and he would have been at Arsenal. And I'm not sure he could have done at Arsenal what he did at Liverpool. But just imagine him managing. He would have had Saka. He probably would have had maybe Martinelli might have already been at the club. I'm not sure. He'd have had all those youth players coming through, and he would have made the absolute most of those, as we've seen against us in the FA Cup. He brought on a couple of really young players. Meanwhile, all of our young players are banished to the subs bench to sit there with their Panini football sticker books, having no idea what it's like playing first-team football, because Arteta isn't interested in them. I mean, all of these players are going to do Hutchinson, because Patino and Manwari and Kosi Dubry and all these others, they're not going to stay. And Klopp would make the most of that. Although I hate Liverpool because, you know, me and you have a certain vintage. Growing up in the 80s, you hated two teams. Spurs, you had to. It's in your DNA. Liverpool, because they won everything. Much like a lot of people now hate Man City because they won everything. And George Graham broke the back of that Liverpool thing. They had never lost a game when Ian Rush scored a goal. And Ian Rush was at that club for about 8 or 9 years by that time. And we did that in the League Cup final, the 1987 League Cup final. And that was George Graham's first silverware. But for Klopp to leave Liverpool, they are in trouble because I was saying the other night on my show that the first best manager in the Premier League is Pep, then Klopp, maybe then Arteta. The best squad is Man City, second best is Liverpool, third best is probably ours. And the most money is Man City, and then it's debatable who's got the best money after that. So Man City have got the best of everything. And so now Klopp going, if you add everything up, we're going to be the second best team when you take into every department of football, finances, players, stadium, manager, coaches, all of that lot. And so for us, it's fantastic. And I'm looking forward to next season. But for Liverpool, who are they going to get? Because that is a massive loss to them. I mean, nobody expected it. He said that he decided like you were saying, in November. And I don't think there's been anything done about him leaving. You think, well, what are they going to go for? They're going to go for the boot room style and get someone like Gerrard. I mean, I'd love that. That would be hilarious. Because they'd be down. They'd be going full Spursy, #Spursy if they got Gerrard in, which some of the fans no doubt will want him because a lot of them are idiots. But
you know what, Danny? If he'd have stayed at Rangers, he would get that job right now.
Greedy,
and he got a little, like, you know, Lampard, I felt, paid his dues at Derby. I know you have strong feelings about Lampard, but I actually don't think he did such a terrible job at Chelsea, considering that he had the transfer ban, played with a lot of youth, got them into the Champions League. I think this is the time for someone like Alonso to take that job. There's only one guy for me, and it is him. I was earmarking
all season. The German Cup, the Champions League, the Champions League, not the Champions, the Europa League, the Bundesliga, not lost a single game in best part of 34 games.
Yeah,
that's something else, isn't it? I mean, to come in and do that to Bayern, who have got the greatest striker in the world at the moment, apparently.
I mean, when you think about what he's doing, it is really quite incredible. And Charlie, aka Haralambos, Yasu Haralambe Tiganis Elpizo Galanaise. I think this is going to be a transitional time. Salah, Alisson, I agree. Van Dijk. I think this could be one of those times, Danny, where Liverpool might find themselves next season rebuilding again.
Well, do you remember when one of the first deals that helped Klopp was the Brazilian who went to, I never remember his name, he went to Barcelona for 105 million. That rebuilt Liverpool. Now, we know last summer...
the Coutinho deal, you mean?
Coutinho, that's exactly it. We know last summer, the Saudi Pro League, because Mo Salah is one of the greatest African footballers, one of the best ever, and probably the best at the moment. There was rumours that they had offered £225 million for him, wasn't there? Now, if Klopp goes, he'll go in the summer, and that £200 million or 150 million, that's 3 or 4 decent players that they could buy. Add that to the fact that Klopp has already built the forward line with the young players that he's brought in, and Tom's favourite, Saloba Jobalai. He's another stunning player, and they have. I mean, Van Dijk will be the leader, and they've still got probably the second best goalkeeper in the league. They've got a really good basis. I just hope Gerrard comes in and does. You know, when Gareth Bale Spurs had all the Gareth Bale money, and they spent it on about 9 players that did nothing.
Yes,
I hope Gerrard comes in and does that.
I'm going to bring in Alistair, who wants to have his say. Alistair, hello, good evening. Where in the world are you calling from?
Well, I'm in Purfleet at the moment in a truck stop.
Oh, look at you! Wait, are you the lorry? Are you the lorry driver who commented on YouTube the other day? No, no.
No, that wasn't me. No. I don't tend to.
What?
If I called you Rubber Duck, will you give us a honk honk?
I would, but I've got people sleeping next to me, so I can't do that. I'd get into.
Oh, so You're like in one of those spots.
Yeah,
You know,
proper
do you know what? Have you seen the film Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone?
Yep. Wonderful. Takes
I
his
love
son
that
with
film.
him.
Yeah, and he arm wrestles basically, and he's a big truck driver, lorry driver. Yes, a good film. Anyway, Alistair, I digress. Please have your say. Whatever you want on all the subjects we've spoken about, and even the ones we haven't.
Yeah, just on Jurgen Klopp, I think it's good news for us because anybody who loses a manager of that caliber is going to struggle in it. You know, if you lose a manager that's that good, and if they don't get it right, Liverpool they could seriously mess up. They've got to be very careful now when they appoint their next manager because if you appoint the wrong one that's got a wrong style or something like that, like a Simeone, it could go terribly wrong. I think. Yeah, but Klopp, great manager. I know people say about Pep. Pep's obviously the GOAT, but Pep's teams, I don't like watching them. Never. Barcelona, great team. You know, beautiful football. Obviously, the Spanish team. I know he didn't go to the Spanish Spain, but they copied them, didn't they, on how they play? And then went to City. I don't like. I can't stand watching them because it's just boring.
That game
football,
tonight was really boring. The FA Cup game was so boring. I mean, they've played sexy football, but I see what you mean.
But like Klopp, he's very similar to. I know he's not the same style, but as Wenger, it was entertaining football. You know, everyone keeps going about the Invincibles of the Wenger era, but people forget how entertaining and how beautiful the football was when Wenger was at his peak. You know, obviously it built from there, but you know, but I think Klopp's going out at the right time as well because like Wenger, I think he should have gone 5 years before he should, and people wouldn't be. Because he tainted his legacy a little bit, stopping too long, didn't he? So
yeah, definitely. What are you a Mikel fan? Are you happy about the idea of this new deal? Would you give him more money? Where do you stand with the gaffer?
I'm not a Mikel Arteta in or out. I'm an Arsenal fan. I don't at the moment. I think he's doing a very good job. I think people need to remember he is. His first ever management job is coming to Arsenal. He's gone up against the best manager in the world, and he came second to him.
Yeah, but he could have won it, right? He came second, but he could have.
Well, that's football, isn't it? You know, we got an inexperienced team that couldn't quite get it over the line. We got injuries towards the end of it, and we just if you want to say it's bottled it, but that's football. That's what happens, isn't it? You know, and you're up against a team that how many games did they not? What winning run did they go on? That was like an insane run that went on, didn't they? It was like
but they did go on it, and we kind of failed towards the end. I said on the show the other day, Danny, as well, about us not having the mental that we're mentally impotent still, and that we need to work on that part of our game. And I think this is a really talented, good team, and we can. There's no reason why we can't win the title.
No, there is. There's one team there's one or two teams that say that are a lot better than us with better managers than us, much better managers than us, right? I've got goats, not just like I'm not just talking about a slightly better manager. These two managers are. You know, you could put them in any generation, and they are at the top. You know, they are the Messi and Ronaldo of managers. You know,
was manager? Who? Hold on. Who was manager of? Who was Brendan Rodgers manager of Liverpool when Leicester won the league? And was Pep at City at the time? This was 8 years ago now, right? Whoa! It's almost 10 years since Leicester won the league.
Wasn't that Pep's first season? Or
was it Pep's first season? Squaddies, help me out here in the chat, please. I think Rodgers was the manager at Liverpool that season, right? And we'll find out. But what I'm saying is, if Ranieri can do it against big spenders, even then, you know, why couldn't we? We had an 8-point lead at one point. I just find at some moments we need to stop making excuses and actually close the deal, which is why mentally we need to be better. The manager needs to be better. The players need to be engaged 38 games a season, not just 30. You can't lose to teams like West Ham at home 2-0 and your goalkeeper makes it less embarrassing by saving a penalty. You can't lose to Fulham. We're still making these kindergarten mistakes is what I'm saying, Alistair.
No, I agree. And since Christmas, it was frustrating, especially the Fulham game, because that was a game that we didn't even turn up for, and they're the games that I really get, the West Ham game, we can get frustrated, but you can tell that the team were going for it. The one when I get really angry with the team is when you see them go on that pitch and they're earning all this money and you can see they're just not trying. Do you know what I mean? They're the time. That's the time that I really get frustrated with the team, and that's what we had. We've got to remember where we came from when Arteta took us over. The state that we was in, the football club was in an absolute mess. But it's
almost 5 years now. It's almost 5 years, and so that for me, if you're in a corporate job, you come and you do a rebuild. 5 years later, the boss is wanting ROI. Sorry, you've had your time. You've got your team. I gave you what you wanted. Now I need some ROI on my investment. It's time. It's time.
New employees and new staff don't cost like 100 million and 60
It's all
million
relative,
pounds.
though. Success is relative.
Yeah, but you can't. He has turned it around. We're just up against.
No, I agree. I agree.
We're up against the team that has a blank checkbook that is suspected of cheating, and we came second to them last season. They have been able to do what they want, and Klopp has said it. There are some teams out there that can do what they want. We are not that team. For me, it doesn't matter whether Arteta's in charge or not. If we go get another manager, it doesn't matter so much. It's what the board does and what it does when it comes to the transfer thing. We can go out and get another manager. But we could still be in the same position, not because the manager's not good enough. It's because you still have to have the recruitment to get the new players, and you've got to, City have got two teams that can put out that could, 2-11 teams. So.
I'm in the no excuses season mode now, Alistair. Here's what I want to know: what snack do you have to eat in your big lorry?
Well, I've got nothing at the moment because I'm on a bit of a diet, but I am on the Yorkshire tea biscuit brew, which is pretty
Yorkshire
good.
Tea. Oh, well, Nick Ramsdale loves a little Yorkshire tea. Yeah.
With Yorkshireman, having tea that's not normal tasting is.
So you don't have any snack? You don't even have some carrots and hummus?
Well, I sometimes have me dried fruit and nuts, and I like a good ginger biscuit as well.
Your business, not mine. That is your business, not mine. Alistair, are you on social media? Let the squaddies know where they can find you. What is your handle? Beep, beep.
No, I'm not a social media person. I'm just an Arsenal fan that's that likes to watch. Well, you do good. And Kevin Campbell, I like the fact you got Kevin Campbell on. He's before my time a little bit, but he's still a legend.
It's a good job, but you still know him even though it's before your time. Do you have a CB handle? Do you remember the CB, Danny? CB? Do they still call it that?
My dad's was winemaker.
No, we don't have CBs.
CVs, right? Yeah. Okay.
No.
All right. Well, listen, call back because I love it. I love that you're calling us from the road. Don't tell everyone where you are, what motorway you're on. We don't want Man United fans or Tottenham fans to find you. Stay safe, stay warm. Do you have a little heater in there? A little heater? Turn up the heat tonight.
I've delivered to Millwall today, so and I have my Arsenal flag.
Very nice.
So it's not quite the same as it used to be, Millwall. It's not quite the den anymore, but yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for calling us. Take care. Be safe on the road. They don't have CB handles anymore, Danny. What's that about?
Oh, they're missing out on so much, aren't they? Rubber Duck, 10-4 for a copy and all that lot.
Yeah.
I
mean, totally.
They just got WhatsApp now, ain't they? Just WhatsApp audio call each other no matter where they are.
Yeah, mine was number 7. because I like the number 7 shirt.
Yeah.
And then my brother was Boeing 757 because he's a pilot. And yeah, and then the brick kind of walkie-talkies, and
Yeah, the old big
I tell
wobbly
you kids
aerials.
missed out. Yeah, you kids missed out. Seb's back. Did you want to say something, Seb? You're back. What's going on? I had to.
I don't know. I just came on just for a chat. That's all. Just if you want.
Yeah, well, Danny's here. Do you want
on your deck?
Go on, stay with us. You're showing your age, Sophie. Yes, I bloody well am. I'm old enough to be Tom Canton's mother.
I'm nearly old. I'm the same as that. And look at the difference between you and me. You still look good. I'm knackered. I've got teeth missing. I'm bald.
Yeah, but you're beautiful inside and out. CB Radio was awesome. See, Mark backing me up here. Like a backstage green room. It certainly is. Wine drinker is on my CV. What a legend. Absolute legend. Mikel Peppermint Freedom thinks that Mikel's reached his ceiling, Danny. Guna Rose expects silverware this season. I don't have faith that Arteta will deliver. Matty K liked Alistair. Not sure. It was his beer. Lorry driver, carrots and hummus. I mean, he said he was on a diet. Yorkshire tea, absolute quality. Danny.
Yes.
Does Mikel have to win something this season for you? Doesn't matter because he's staying, but for you as a fan, expectations.
Remember when the documentary there, that big whiteboard, and Vinay and Josh and Edu were around the whiteboard and doing stuff. I want to see their whiteboard from the time they employed Arteta, because anybody go on.
No, I'm laughing. Go on.
Yeah. And I want to see the whiteboard. I want to go back in time and see that whiteboard and see if they were stupid enough to think if we employ Arteta, we're going to win the league. Because you aren't going to win the league with Arteta unless like Leicester won the league, unless it's something like that is going to happen like we did last season when we should have won it. Unless you were going to throw. Remember that when I said last night on my one that this is the Joan Mata situation, isn't it? Joan Mata agrees to come to us, Chelsea Gazumpas. And then just going to get that every time for players, for their wages, for their transfer fees, for the loan deals, for all the dodgy deals that are going on. We cannot compete. And Josh and Stan Kroenke are very, very wise businessmen. They're multi-billionaires. They are not going to look at this and go, 600 million, give it to a new manager, we'll win the league. That is not their plan. And then people, like one of the comments said, he's got to win silverware this season. People say that without remembering what competitions we're in. Champions League, Premier League, we're not winning the Premier League. You don't lose 4 Premier League games, soon to be 5, when Liverpool smashes because they've had a bit of an injection of morale. Not that they even needed that. And we're not winning the Champions League. We've got a more chance of winning the Champions League than we have got the Premier League. We're not going to win either. I mean, I can see us getting quarterfinal, semi-final, but that's mainly down to the fact that the Premier League is so dominant with managers, with players, with finance compared to every other league in the world. They have not got a patch on us. Look at Barcelona last weekend, started 2 16-year-olds. Would that ever happen in the Premier League? We wouldn't even start 2 70-year-olds. Probably not.
Well, I mean, the Waneri thing, has been a bit of a pickle, hasn't it? It was on the bench, and then, some people said that there was a hidden agenda behind that. I don't know.
The new contract.
But, he doesn't seem to, like you said, like to promote. He puts them on the bench, but he doesn't actually play them. And I get why some fans were bothered by the fact that Cedric got a game, and a young Arsenal player didn't. Let's talk about this real quick. We're 53 minutes in. Time flies when you're talking about Yorkshire tea, hummus, and lorry drivers. So I want to get this. So Klopp, we've done Mikel. Thomas Partey returning. Seb, are we excited about this? Is this going to help us? What's your take on? Is it party time again?
I'm keeping very short-term expectations for Thomas Partey. I hate to break it, but at least that's my opinion. I feel like every time he's come on, he's been great. The first 1 or 2 games, he comes right back on, and then he just falls off a cliff. I was one of the advocates saying that we should sell him last summer. I think, having the fact that we have Declan Rice is great, and I think Jorginho fits that role pretty well. I mean, his passing capabilities have definitely gone up since he joined us, but I don't know.
But again,
for me, it's not party time.
Arteta doesn't play Jorginho enough for me when I think he's actually quite needed. Danny, what is your take on the return of Partey? Keep it clean.
Well, he's got distractions at the moment. He's just become a dad. If it's for the first time, good luck. He's not going to sleep for the next 2 years. But player-wise, if we've been seeing pictures of him training, if he comes back and give him a couple of games to get back into the swing of it, he's an old pro. Shouldn't take him too long to get back into being match fit. Then it's going to be amazing for our side. Last season he was brilliant, and then towards the end he fell apart, and that's part of the reason why we weren't any good and things were all going wrong. He's only really got to stay fit, match fit, and keep his mind in the game for half a season. If he does that, and Man City have another couple of slip-ups, and Liverpool, it's going to be a three-way run for the title, because he is such a world-class player. And when on his day, which is more often than not, those balls from the defensive midfield position, pinging them all over the place. And maybe we'll get back to seeing the best of Martinelli and Saka when we are doing the counter-attack with those balls, because we had them a couple of times last season with Ramsdale doing the long kicks. Ray is now doing it with the long throws. And if you combine that with Partey's ability with those pinpoint precision balls, then it'll be magnificent to see. But, I expect something to go wrong.
I mean, there's 140 of you in live chat on this Friday evening. Not our usual time slot, but thanks to everyone who's tuned in and to those who are going to listen on replay as well. Thomas Partey, many of you believe you can't get hyped because you're afraid he's going to be injured again in 2 or 3 games. And I totally get that. Mark agreeing with your point. Alistair can't wait to see Partey and Rice in midfield together. This is going to happen, right, guys? Will it happen? Will Arteta play them together? Why do you not think so, Seb?
Maybe a right back.
Well,
no, I just think Zinchenko is too much of a forward momentum player that Partey is going to have to come back, whether as a left back or a right back, because it's just, I don't think it's going to happen. And then if you have Havertz up top, and he's kind of in the shadows player, that I think he does influence how the opponents shift their players. And there's plenty of analysis videos out there that show that he's very good at doing that.
But Danny, wasn't it, last season it was Partey, Rice, Odegaard, right? I mean, and it was pretty effective. Rice is Xhaka. Partey, Xhaka, and Odegaard.
Yeah.
Now we have, I think a lot of fans confuse it, but Rice really was the Xhaka replacement.
Yeah.
Partey comes back in. Odegaard, why not adopt that? Can't you see Mikel going down that route, considering the season we've had so far?
No, I've got absolutely no idea. How can you go from playing the scintillating, beautiful, effervescent football we had last season and play the rubbish, quite frankly, rubbish that we're playing this season? You can't. I know he's going, XG for conceding goals is magnificent. I don't care about that. I'd rather win every game 5-4 rather than win every game 1-0. How he's taken a step back, and like you said at the beginning of the show, he's like Klopp. He's like playing. Who did he play? Arteta play at left back in was it Xhaka?
Played Xhaka.
He does things like Pep played a Champions League final without a striker. Wait, hold on. I'm going to reinvent football. No, don't do that. Don't mess around with it. We don't
play
want
and win
that.
the trophy.
And so that's what Arteta's trying to do. It's almost like he's going, Pep, look what I've done, Pep. He probably sends Pep VHSs of what he's done, his tactic wise. Look. I've now got Zinchenko. I've got Partey. I've got Rice. I've got them all playing, covering the back four. I've got more players covering them than I've actually got in the back, and rubbish like that. And then he's going to have the Havertz problem. If you've got all those players fit, Odegaard, Rice, and Partey, what's Havertz going to do?
Poor guy. I don't actually think he's been the biggest problem this season. And then there's, of course, the inverted left back that he continues to.
It just reminds me, that video that went viral a few years ago, that bloke and his dog Fenton. That'd be Partey. Zinchenko. No, stop it. He's going to be that the whole time. It's probably why he doesn't want to play. He said, I can't be bothered with Zinchenko constantly overhead kicking everything.
He can't get Partey in, though, because it's too crowded in the middle. And I think that's a problem between this season and last season. You have Zinchenko moving in. You have Havertz in. You have Odegaard in. You got Jesus dropping back. And then you want Partey to move up as well with everyone there. It's too many bodies. And I think they get into each other's way. And that's why I don't think it seems as like, oh, ping. No, because I have to ping here. Then I got to ping immediately here and then go up. You just don't have time for that now.
Go on, Danny.
See, last season, the thing that made us brilliant was the game was very simple. You had Partey
exactly. That's what I was going to say.
You had Xhaka getting the ball from Partey and giving it to Odegaard, and you had Odegaard running forward, causing havoc, scoring goals. Now you've got Havertz in there, who Havertz is going, well, am I a striker? I was a winger at Leverkusen. Oh, I was a striker at Chelsea. What am I going to do here? And Odegaard, and he's probably said to Odegaard, right, you give the ball to Havertz because he's a goal scorer. And Odegaard's going, well, I'm not allowed in the box anymore. Left side of the box, right side of the box, left side of the box, right. Over and over. Last season, Odegaard would have gone, hold my cup of tea or whatever they have in Norway. I'm going to go and score a goal, whack one in. No, he's not allowed to because Havertz is in that position. It doesn't work. And he's too stubborn. That's what he gets from Wenger. He got the stuff from Pep, and he's got the stubbornness from Wenger to go, actually, let's all go back to what we did last season. We're going to go and do that, and then we're going to storm the league. But he won't.
Yeah. And thanks for all your comments coming in. Our wingers are not wingers. They don't attack the defender or switch wings. Cut in merchants. They've become predictable is what they have name blocked. Guna Rose says Havertz is not connecting with Martinelli. Kai is just adjusting to the system. The standards of our club have fallen. We have a manager eating meat off another man's sword and a player with his sons.
I mean, you look how many times Martinelli has gone all the way back, tracked all the way back to the left-back position, and then got the ball and ran off with it.
Yeah. Listen, Stevie Nicol, who was embarrassed by Mickey Thomas at Anfield.
How long left to go in that game was it? Has he held his hands
I mean, he's you know what? He's so cool coming on this show, knowing that we're going to actually banter him every single time he comes on. And he's so cool. But he says, you got those two boys playing the way they're playing on the flanks, the way they have the last two seasons, they'll scare the bejesus out of any team. Whenever we played Liverpool last season, he was scared of who? Saka and Martinelli. Teams are not intimidated. We gained a small fraction, don't get me wrong, of an intimidation factor back, right? But those two players aren't scaring the opposition this season. They're not. They're just not.
We're spoilt though, aren't we? You get Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli for 16 out of the 20 Premier League teams, and those teams would build their team about one of those players. We got three of them, and we're still not making the most of it. It's the Zaha situation at Palace. They built the team around Zaha because he was the best player they had. And you get all these other teams that have got one star player. West Ham, Declan Rice, built the team around him, and now they got that bloke from Is it Kudos? My God, what a player he is!
Kudos, yeah. I mean, he's been in
the AFCON, he's been fantastic as well. I'm not sure if they got through, but it's almost like we got too much good stuff. And even Saka said, didn't he, recently, that he goes home and he watches the videos because they stick two men on him, and he watches the games back to try and see what he can do about it. He's even looking into doing it himself. And then you got the quote from Martinelli and when he's playing for Brazil, where he says, the attacking freedom, this is not verbatim, but the attacking freedom I had with Brazil was something I've never had before. I mean, isn't that a sign to Arteta? A little nudge, like, let me play out front for a little bit.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I wish Havertz played on the right as opposed to the left.
See, I think he's best down the middle. I don't think he's that player.
Well, I wish he played on the right. I don't think he can, but I wish he could because of his shadow play that he does with Martinelli. Because I don't think Martinelli thinks dash forward. Saka doesn't think dash forward. Saka thinks let's dribble it through. And I think that's the disconnect that Havertz is good at dragging people. So if you dragged one or two players off of Saka saying, oh, I'm going to make that run because I'm Havertz, Saka can go around and do what he was doing last season. But because Martinelli is the one that dashes all the way, they just double up on Martinelli because they know, hey, he's just going to run. Havertz is going to sit right here for support, and that's all. And that's what Odegaard is doing with Saka. He's just sitting back, helping him out, giving him a play, and then ping it in. And But we've been doing that for how long?
Yeah, but
now?
that stifles. That's like, oh, sugar. You're on vibrate there. Vibrate.
Loudspeaker.
Echo.
Oh.
But that Odegaard is a shadow of the player he was last season. There's a reason. I know Benjamin has had an injury, but even he's a shadow of the player he was. Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka, Jesus. Yes, coming back for another injury, fine. Even Rice has regressed over the last couple of games. There seems to be, last season when I watched us play, I was like, oh, this team is having fun. They're actually enjoying playing football. And it was I can't remember a season where I had more fun watching the Arsenal. It had been a long time. And this season, it looks very like stifled and claustrophobic and just not happy, right? And I don't know if that's because of the expectations that have been put on them, what's been said in the dressing room. I don't know. We're not there. But I do think some decisions have upset the team chemistry. And, I think this is a massive season for Mikel Arteta, but it doesn't matter because apparently he's getting a new deal. Real quick before we go, thank you for being my wingman this evening. We got a lot of listeners who talk a lot in the chat, but they don't want to make themselves known.
So you've been asking a lot of questions. What's your take on the Arteta deal?
I would wait until the end of the season, but this is a club that gave him a deal when we were at rock bottom with no points after 3 games. So
they're changing from coach to manager in that
and
contract.
They changed him from coach to manager. Yeah. So
or head coach.
I would wait. I mean, I'm at that point where, listen, is there anybody better out there? If you're going to roll the dice on someone, it would be like an Alonso, but then are you starting again back at the Arteta level? Because really, what's Alonso won as a manager? And he's a manager who's unproven in the Premier League, but clearly he's doing a great job where he is right now. I don't want to hear the old school Simeone, Conte, Mourinho rubbish. Those ships sailed years ago. Right? De Zerbi, is he a like for like? Bit like Mikel's substitutions? Probably. And so I think to myself, who are you going to get? You don't want Gareth Southgate. If you look at managers coming out of international jobs after this next cycle in Europe, is there another ex-Arsenal player that can come in? Adams is a shit manager. Henry's a shit manager.
Steve Bold's managing in Belgium.
Steve Bold didn't really do anything. So I also don't just want to stick with him because there's nobody else available. We have to be inventive.
Say Henry. Or God, come on. Vieira.
No, Vieira's out.
There's a lot of talk for both of those.
So Vieira, and I mean, he got to the playoffs with New York City FC. He didn't have a great time in France. And Palace, he was a star for a while, and then it all went pear-shaped, didn't it? Luis Enrique. There's an interesting name. Yes. Won the treble with Barcelona, and that's not even a respected treble because everyone just harps on about the other managers.
And he managed Spain as well and was undefeated as Spanish manager in about 20 games-ish.
Yes, Raul, I like this. But right now, I would wait till the end of the season, see where the chips fall, and then I'd make my decision to answer your question, Seb. Yes.
If Pep or Klopp would have come in now, were to come in, do you think he would have done a better job than Arteta now, or not, given the resources that he was given? I think that's the other question.
Jurgen Klopp or Pep?
Jurgen Klopp or Pep were to take Arteta's spot right now with the funding that we've had at the start of the season.
With what pedigree? With them coming with Pep coming from Bayern or Barca, or Klopp coming from Dortmund or coming from Liverpool?
I'd say like Barcelona equivalent for Pep. I think that's
100 bazillion%. I'd bet my house on it. I would bet Vinny and Vesper on it. Don't tell them that, but I would probably get some good money. And yes, and Klopp coming from Dortmund. Yes.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Yes, I would, because there's a really big difference between being a number 2 in those pressurized situations that Mikel was with Pep at City and being the main man and being the decision maker. And I believe both of those managers with that pedigree, yes, could have done a better job. I would actually have even said, you know, rewind to Juventus Antonio Conte coming to Arsenal. That Antonio Conte, I would say he probably would have had a big impact as well. So I just think those two managers are the best we've seen in modern football.
But isn't that why we try to bring in Unai Emery? Because we thought he was going to be that set player, that coach that's won a lot in Europe. He has experience, he's got the pedigree. And
but we never gave him a chance, Seb. The truth is, right, I'm a fan of Emery, and it's not hidden on this show that I'm a fan.
Right.
And Aston Villa could fall to the wayside. They could. But it's almost February, and they're in the top 4. And he's done that because Danny was talking about Gerrard, and he took Villa into the gutter. And he had a lot of resources, but he couldn't do what Emery has done. Emery won every single Europa League final he's been in, except with Arsenal. And I don't think it's because of him we lost. I think we had a broken culture, and we had cancer in the dressing room, and players like Ozil and Mustafi and Kolasinac were able to rule the roost. I know for a fact Emery tried to remove Ozil from the situation. Didn't want him at the club, but he was not given the same support and backing. That executive team was very different at the time. And unfortunately, Emery came too soon for Arsenal. But, you know, in the league, in La Liga, yeah, did he have successes? Not as much. But when the chips are down and you were talking about winning trophies, he's proven. And what he's done so far this season with Aston Villa is, what for me, one of the stories of the season so far.
Definitely.
Not saying they're going to end up like, you know, winning
Ollie Watkins,
whatever.
That's the main thing. In 2023 Premier League, the most combined goals and assists. Magnificent. There was always a player in Watkins, and Emery managed to get it out. And he has the players believe in him, and they're going to give him time because they're grateful that a manager who wins stuff has come to their club. Where immediately, as soon as he come to us, good evening, just taking the mickey out of him, just disrespectful and a little bit rude.
Yeah, and he's a lovely, lovely guy, by the way. When I met him, I'd asked him on the tour for the US. It was the time where Xhaka wanted to kill Magic Mike. And
Phonegate.
Yeah, Phonegate. And I asked Emery about Kolasinac at the time. Not Kolasinac. Oh, my God, I'm having a brain fart. Who was our captain who went on strike? Koscielny. And he answered the question. He was very kind, and he was very respectful. So look, I always wish him luck. I hope that he does well. But I tell you, here's and I'll leave you with this thought, and I'd love to know your thoughts, chat and guys. If Mikel Arteta finishes below Emery and Postecoglou, I think that's an embarrassing failure of grand proportions. Do you agree or disagree with me? Seb?
I mean, I'm of the same thought as you, Soph, in terms of how Emery's been. And I think, I think it would be, because I think Emery just doesn't really he had what he had, and he dealt with it. Mikel's had the backing, he's had the additional support, and he still hasn't come up with something.
Danny?
If you finish, but now they're only in 2 competitions, he doesn't have as many excuses, because he equaled the Arsenal record of 3 domestic cup games in a season, this season and last season. We'd only ever done that once before, 1975. Every other season where there's been 2 domestic cups, we have never played the minimum of 3 games, and so the players aren't going to be worn out. We've got the Champions League is nice. Everything's nicely spread apart. We're getting weekends and midweeks off at times now. And Emery is a very, very experienced manager. Spain, Russia, France, England, Spain, England again. And so he's got stuff to go back on. Everything is new for Arteta. And if he finishes below Emery, I wouldn't be surprised. That would only mean that we're finishing 4th and Villa 3rd. Finishing below the fake Australian, that would be a bit shameful because they're going to finish maybe mid-table because they're Spursy.
Yeah, lots of people agreeing that that would be an embarrassment. And this is why I would hold off to answer your question again, Seb, on the contract. For me, those are deal breakers. I don't care if you get to the semi-final of the Champions League or the final of the Champions League. Tottenham got to a final of the Champions League, crying out loud. They know what that day out feels like. But if you finish below them, okay, if it's by a point, I'm sorry, you still finish below them. That's regressing. We need to be climbing the ladder. We need to be taking it out, taking, teams on and progressing, not regressing. We've gone from the process to progress, and now it's show me the money. And I've felt that because I've kind of been watching football from a distance a little bit and digesting it from a different perspective versus being in it every day and doing shows every day. And I just think it's time. Like, life moves fast. Time is precious. And whether it's in life or sports is a nanosecond. I mean, I'm watching players. I was stunned when John Terry, Frank Lampard, and David Beckham retired. I was like, when did that happen?
We waited a long time for them to go away.
Yeah, and now Wayne Rooney is retired and Van Persie's like close to. I mean, there's just players that are of age, and football is so finite, and you've got to capitalize on time and the moment. And when you have generational talent like Saka, like a Martinelli, like Saliba, like a Declan Rice, you've got to go for it because we keep missing out and we say, oh, next year, or we'll spend in this window. Spend now. Win now. Teams get stronger. The landscape changes. So
twice in recent history, we've had a chance to win the title, the Leicester season and last season, and we didn't capitalise on the positions we were in, and we crumbled. I mean, Giroud, 16 games without a goal. That's why we didn't win the title against Leicester, because Wenger knew better.
Him. Did we,
Wenger knew better that Giroud is okay. Same as he knew that Almunia is okay. The same that he knew, I'll play anybody as a defensive midfielder. Oh, you know what? I'll go and buy Everton's most creative player, Arteta, and play him as a DM, and then break him. You need, like Seriously. You say, you need to grab life by the cojones and do it now. Don't wait.
You've upset some Australians. It is Australia Day, and Danny's decided to go for the Australians, fake Australian,
Greek,
and then
he moved
and
there
Rich,
when he was 8.
as a proud Aussie, to say Ange is a fake Australian is disrespectful. Gosh,
Well, I could claim I'm Australian then.
Yeah.
Well, he's Greek, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, of course. He's Greek. Someone took him Greek cakes to a press conference. It made the Greek news. When I was in Cyprus, it made the news because some reporter had taken him Greek cakes, which, by the way, he didn't look like he appreciated. And when he has been asked questions in Greek or been greeted by Greek reporters, I've got to say he's a little bit cold. So I finally found something to dislike about him. That. Show some respect to your culture, mate.
That's my point. Mate. I agree with you.
So is he fake Greek then?
I think Danny's right.
Possibly.
Maybe he's just making it up because it's.
Well, you're not American, are you? So just because you live there.
No. I'm French. I'm actually French and Australian.
I'm just English.
What would you like to leave everyone with, Seb? Thanks for jumping in this evening and hanging out. This is your second opportunity to do a takeaway. Make it better than the first one. You've got 30 seconds. I'm ruthless now. I'm in my ruthless mode.
I think believe in the team, believe in Arteta, and I think we'll get there. I think just give him time. If we finish below Aston Villa, like you said, Soph, I think it's game over.
All right. Just like Pac-Man. Don't like it when my game's over on Pac-Man. Played a lot of Pac-Man and Space Invaders. Don't know where that came from. Danny, save me. What's your closing statement?
Be grateful for what you have. It's only a few dark years ago we were rubbish, and now we have got wonderful players. We've got a very decent manager, and we're going places, but just look deep into your soul and go, can you honestly expect anybody to beat Man City? 115 charges FC.
Second Ligue 2. Ligue 2. The white courtesy phone is for Ligue 2. The white courtesy phone is for Ligue 2. Listen, if Everton and Forest are getting it, then they should too. But apparently it's going to take longer because there are 115 charges and they're a little bit complex. So Richie's like, really, you're really on his last nerve. Believe, blah, blah, blah. Show some bloody ambition. Weak, says Name Block. Here's my closing statement.
Let them have it. Straight to the jugular.
She is. Leah is back. We're going to do a women's show. That's what Demian, he was going to be my wingman today. So we switched gears a little bit, but we will be talking about women's football. I'm actually looking forward to covering Emma Hayes here in the States. Now she's going to be the US women's national team manager. I can ask her questions that, have a little bit of a dig with the old Arsenal-Chelsea rivalry. If they get relegated, you know what? They're not. They'll get deducted. Actually, I think they might, at least to the championship. But here's my takeaway for you this evening. Thank you so much for joining in. It was an impromptu show. Cheers to Danny and Seb for hanging out and being my wingmen. We'll break Demian's exciting news next week. It has been a pleasure being back this week. If you missed Monday's show with Lee Judges, please go listen when we talked about a lot of good stuff from the Palace game. And if you missed Wednesday's show, has the Arsenal become more of a marketing company than a football club? Enjoy it. It's good. We talk about the dog. We talk about the song. But jokes aside, we talk about some real juicy stuff.
Alan,
tickets, ballots, Ashburton Army. We did some really good bits and bobs. Yep. Danny, tell everyone where they can find your show, which, by the way, my podcast life was born. If you don't know already, I tell this story all the time. I speak to him from Danny, inviting me on a Bergkamp Wonderland. He spawned many, many voices, some good, mostly good, right, Danny?
Well, I think Tom Cannon's the exception, and Mike Feinberg. There are a couple of ruffians. But it's at the AFC podcast, and on YouTube, it's just a Bergkamp Wonderland. Go there, and I guarantee you will be disappointed because me trying to stick to the point is like trying to stick a bubble gum to a clown's nose. It's not going to end well.
And Seb, you already told everyone your handle, but you get to say it again. Go on.
Just SANNAJUST.
Good job you didn't say SOB right there. I was going to be like, what? Oh, listen, you guys, thanks so much for hanging out and tuning in. We'll be back live for Monday Madness with some special guests. You're not going to want to miss that. In the meantime, enjoy the boring football over the weekend. We don't play. Who wants to be in the FA Cup anyway? I mean, I do really. Oh, who am I kidding? I really want. I love.
We've won it enough. We don't want to be.
I know we've won it enough. Enjoy the time off. Relax. If you're in the States, like many of our listeners, we've got the playoffs on Sunday. I'm actually rooting for the Detroit Lions. I don't know why, because I'm not. Tony, who am I rooting for? The Niners. There, she corrected me. No, Kansas City. We're Broncos fans. They're like Tottenham to us, Kansas City. We do not like
Go Dolphins.
They're out.
Unless it's cold. Unless it's just that's cruelty to animals. -28. Dolphins, behave yourself.
But it should be good. And the Australian Open is also the finals of this weekend. No, is Tsitsipas in or out? I'm not interested otherwise. He's out, right? I think the Greek. Yeah, there's mental impotence there as well. That's a whole other conversation. Gully Nichta, PW, good night to everyone. And this is the part where Super Kev will say, don't forget to tell your loved ones you love them, be kind. And at ease, squaddies, at ease. Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad. And And James Johnston joining late, reminding me it's the Rumble tomorrow. I think that has something to do with wrestling. We need
It
JJ
is.
back on the show for that because I know bugger all about wrestling. Good.